Security Guy. I am Holly Magnuson, and this is episode number 52. Believe it or not, Sean, recorded live on December 4th, 2019. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning. 52 episodes, really?
52 episodes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. So as we get started, as a reminder, there is a chat. And you are always welcome to ask questions as we go along. Be sure to change it. Kind of the default is top chat. You want to change that to live chat so you see everything that goes by. And with that, Sean, I guess the question is, because we're talking about the three biggest incidences, whatever happened in 2019, what are they?
Well, I'll tell you, it has been an odd year. 2019 is potentially going down as the worst in history so far by the numbers in terms of data breaches and records breach and those kinds of things. And the year's not over.
No, unfortunately, there's time for more.
But some interesting statistics we were able to pull together. The first 9 months of 2019, we exposed, or the world exposed, or they were exposed, 7.9 billion records.
Wow.
Worldwide.
Wow.
So it's been a pretty record year in terms of the number of breaches out there. Interestingly enough, what else is coming up is the rise of ransomware. This has also been a record year for ransomware and ransomware variants. In fact, I think in one particular case, one article I read pointed out that Mac and iOS platforms had seen a 600% increase in ransomware variants targeted directly at them.
Yeah, one article I read earlier this year estimated almost a 700% increase. So it's regardless, Macs are no longer the safe computer.
Yep. And ransomware, I mean, all summer long we saw municipalities hit in Florida and Georgia and Texas. And that's growing, that trend. Those are targeted attacks by hackers. Basically, they're sending huge amounts of spam messages out to everyone within a local government. And all it takes is one.
Right.
All they have to do is get one. There was one incident where they successfully compromised a Florida county, disabled the police, disabled the fire alarm, fire department. The police were back to using pen and paper. The gas and electric for all of the entire county was back on pen and paper. And the attackers didn't even bother to notify the local government and demand ransom from them. They had already looked up who the insurance carrier was for the local government and contacted them directly. The insurance carrier, after consultation with the government, says, okay, can you recover from this? The local government says no, so they paid.
Wow. Yeah, that's
against the FBI's advice. So, I mean, it's worth noting that the FBI is strongly advising, any organization to not pay these ransoms. The fact of the matter is, unless you have good controls already in place, there may not be a choice.
Right, because it's, comes down to what kind of backup strategy do they have? I mean, that's probably the biggest one, the backup strategy?
Usually, yes. And then what we're also seeing there is it's not just the ransom that's the cost. The recovery cost, getting back to normal can cost as much or more than the ransom itself.
Yeah.
So financially, this is an incredibly massive hit for an organization that's been a victim. And the cost of compensating controls that would prevent something like this just don't really compare. but yeah, 2019 has definitely been the year of the breach.
Yeah. So what would be the number 2 issue that we've seen in 2019?
So I think really in 2019, you have 2 major issues. One, ransomware,
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost. The second is massive troves of data inadvertently publicly exposed. There was one just in October that exposed, I think, around 4 billion people's information from Facebook and LinkedIn and other aggregated sources. And it even include, in some cases, text messages.
Wow.
And the text messages include things like that one-time passcode that your credit card company texts you to enter in for 2-factor authentication into their website. As you can see, that I mean that's more than a little problematic.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why we're moving away from text-based multi-factor authentication, because it can be intercepted in a variety of ways. So yeah, I mean, we're talking about the vast majority of these exposures have been from misconfigured data repositories that are massive. For instance, the publicly in the first 6 months of 2019, there were more than 3,800 publicly disclosed breaches, exposing an incredible 4.1 billion in compromised records. 3.2 billion of these records were exposed in just 8 breaches.
Wow.
So think about that for a minute. 3.
I don't want to.
people.
Yeah.
Affected by 8 breaches.
Yeah.
And the rest of that number, takes it up to 4.1 billion. So this is scary stuff. There are huge pushes, in pretty much every industry sector to move into cloud. And that's, I mean, for a variety of reasons. It's cost effective. It allows for scalability and institutional agility. There are a lot of advantages to it, but there's also huge risk associated with it that, if not handled appropriately, can really cause a problem. There was a story about an IoT vendor. Again, billions of records, home information, in some cases, stills of the homeowner's property, wherever the webcams were set up. Right there and available, along with address information.
Yeah.
All of this was in an IoT database, again, publicly exposed, sitting out there on the internet for anybody to peruse. And there are search tools that are, they're just available to look specifically for stuff like this.
Right.
There was a massive Elasticsearch database out there. Again, billions of records. So and then when you think about it, there are businesses out there that they make their money doing what's called data aggregation.
Yeah.
So they pull together profiles of people and then sell that information to marketing firms. That's their job. They skim social media. They watch all the websites that you visit, all the cookies and trackers that are on your computer from any website that you go to these days. It feeds something. That information then is all aggregated. And then that data, because it's quite valuable at that point, because it tells a lot about each individual person, is sold for marketing purposes. Well, when it's publicly exposed like that, it can be used for a variety of other purposes as well. So yeah, it has not been a boring year.
Unfortunately not. Okay, so before we jump into what can we do to protect ourselves, what's number 3? What was the third thing that we saw this past year?
The third thing that really struck me this year was the distribution of how ransomware impacted the globe. And I know I'm tapping ransomware twice, so forgive me on that, but it's a big deal this year. was looking at the statistics. The top 10 ransomware submissions by country, and these are reports. Remember, a lot of institutions don't report. They just deal with it and move on. Indonesia, 17%. India, 15%. The US, 13%. Brazil, 13%. Korea, 12%. Egypt, 8%. Germany, 5%. France, 4%. Italy, 4%. Spain, 4%. So, unfortunately, we're in the top 3.
Yeah, not a surprise.
I'm thankful we're not number 1.
Yeah.
But if you, again, if you could argue that the demographics may change that if you look at it per capita.
Right.
But it just goes to show you, ransomware has made literally millionaires and billionaires in the criminal underground overnight. Right. All they need is to land 1 or 2, and they're set. Yeah,
it's very unfortunate. Before you give us your prediction of what we're going to see in 2020, what is a couple of things that we can do to protect ourselves?
So the interesting thing about ransomware is it involves human interaction. So security awareness, first and foremost. Mm-hmm. Think about, read the email that makes sense. Look at it. I mean, are there telltale signs that this may not be real? Don't click on links. Don't open attachments from people you don't know, et cetera, et cetera. If you're here at APU, if you get an email that just seems a little off, send it to iso@apu.edu or spam@apu.edu, and we'll take a look at it. And because we have resources available to us that if they blow up, it's not a big deal. If they don't blow up, we let you know. But either way, the turnaround time for us is about 24 hours. At least that's what we shoot for.
We do our best.
We do our best. And I want to thank all those who have done that. This year alone, we've seen a lot of really interesting emails that were submitted to us for evaluation. Mm-hmm. Almost all of them were very questionable. There were a few that were actually legitimate, but came in a very questionable package. Yeah. And that's challenging too, because the people who write these things are getting better.
Yeah.
So it's and people ask me all the time, well, why doesn't Google stop this, or why doesn't Microsoft stop this, or why doesn't so-and-so stop this? They're trying. Mm-hmm. It is a constant game of whack-a-mole. Whenever they patch one hole, another one pops open. And the bad guys are always looking for new and creative ways to get around the filters.
Yeah, and face it, they're very smart and they're very creative. They're going to try new things, and like you said, it's that cat and mouse game constantly.
So from a technology perspective, there's limits to what we can do. From a human perspective, there's not. So every individual out there has the ability to look at these things and pick and choose and take courses of action to protect themselves. Mm-hmm. The second thing is we all make mistakes. It happens. It ain't perfect. Technology isn't perfect, and neither are we. So in that case, with ransomware in particular being the most pertinent threat these days, ransomware, what it will do is encrypt and make unavailable to you all of your pictures, your videos, your documents, your spreadsheets, any text files you have, your emails, etc., that are on your local computer. Now, if you have everything on one computer at home, or a laptop at home, or an iPad, or some Android tablet, you need to have a backup. And it needs to be a backup that is not always connected. So for instance, with Mac has a great tool called Time Machine. You plug in an external drive, it automatically backs up your stuff, and life moves on. And it's pretty much transparent. The problem is If you leave that drive attached to your Mac and the ransomware comes, it will encrypt all your backups too. They look for it. The ransomware looks for it. In cases, for instance, in a corporate network where people have, an L drive or an M drive or whatever letter drive that has departmental stuff in it, ransomware will encrypt all of that too. It will encrypt anything it can touch. So backups, whether PC or Mac, back it up and disconnect your device or use some form of cloud backup. If you're really, on the geeky side of things and you want to, learn how to do all this stuff yourself, try a free tool like Duplicati. It's free, it's open source. It's a great backup tool. If you just don't want to deal with it and you want something that's reliable, think about something like Carbonite. They have a pretty good tool, and there's others like them. Shop around. The ones I've mentioned aren't the only ones out there, and there may be others that you like or know of or that are more cost effective. Backups and awareness. Those are the two major tools in the fight against ransomware. If you wind up having to pay, it's going to hurt your pocketbook. There's just no way around that.
So again, if you've got a question for Sean, we're going to be winding down here pretty quick. So go ahead, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask those in the chat. And Sean, 2019 is closing out, and hopefully without any more major data breaches. We can only hope and pray. What do you think? What do you think?
December 4th, right?
Yeah, December 4th.
Yeah.
We got 27 days. If I can do math.
Happened at that time.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you, Martha. Here we do have one question. I'm going to bring it up on the screen because we can do that now. Please say the name of that backup tool again.
If you are interested in learning how to do this stuff yourself, I would try Duplicati.
Duplicati.
It's an open source tool. If you are looking for something that just works and you pay a subscription fee, there are tools. One is called Carbonite, and there are competitors. I would shop around a little bit.
We have no sponsorship up, but I will say I use Backblaze to back up all of my stuff, and I love it. So that's my personal, no endorsements involved.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't receive endorsements from any of these organizations, so there's that. Yeah.
So, but I've been really happy with Backblaze. So
yeah.
So Sean, as we look to 2020, what does your crystal ball tell you we're going to see?
So we saw the beginnings of ransomware as a service in 2019, where there were highly effective ransomware variants that are being they're weaponized, they're for sale or rent on the criminal underground. What I'm expecting to see in 2019 is an increasing amount of automation of ransomware attacks.
Yay. But
and on the flip side of that too, while I'm hopeful that as people continue to move to cloud, they will be more cautious than they have been so far. With these huge data repositories and data analytics and artificial intelligence coming, we're going to see more massive breaches.
Well, and just the human factor of people misconfiguring something and having information out there.
The vast majority of these massive breaches were misconfiguration. They weren't even hacks. Somebody configured the system the wrong way, hung it out on the internet, somebody found it and went to town.
Yep.
And the bad guys are always out there looking.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So 2020, more automation in their ransomware. It's so exciting. Not, but again, as we've talked about, it's, paying attention to the links that you're clicking on, the attachments that you're receiving. When it looks suspicious, don't click. I talk with new employees. If you get an email from your supervisor saying go out and buy Apple gift cards for
Right.
them, pick up the phone and call them, because that's another popular one we see here on campus.
Well, and we had our CFO and a couple deans targeted here
Oh, yeah.
for that very thing.
Yeah, several of our deans have been targeted. So, again, you can always send any suspicious-looking emails to spam@apu.edu.
Yep.
If you have questions about security or want to know more, you can contact us through iso@apu.edu. So lots of ways to get a hold of us.
So I do want to point out too, our users here at APU over the last year have been incredibly diligent.
Yes.
And the fact that we did not wind up in the news or wind up with a major event like so many others did this year is really a testament to every single one of our users and the due diligence and the time and effort and attention they're paying to these things. So I want to put a thank you out there for everyone for all that you do, for being alert and aware and for asking the right questions. Keep it up.
So, yes, we do appreciate it. And, to the best of my knowledge, it has been well over a year since we've had a active account compromised. And that goes to our community paying attention and, asking questions.
So keep the word out there. Be a little suspicious. Don't get too jaded like me.
Yeah. Bye-bye. So with that, that's going to end our show for today. We'll be back in January, hopefully with pre-recorded the part 2 of our interview with Valerie Floyd Davis.
Yeah.
February, we'll have something, Valentine related, I'm sure, or that will also be a pre-recorded. But then we'll be back live in March, hopefully with Valerie, to talk about why white hats become black, or something along those lines.
We're going to dive into that. Yep. We're going to dive into that some more.
Got some exciting things coming in 2020, so stay tuned. And until next time, please don't give away your username and password. Have a great day.
See you next year.